Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Okay, this is kind of what I received in the mail day. I got 3 packages, actually a couple of days ago, but I wanted to share them with you because there's some of the ideas that things I'm going to do, and I thought maybe you'd be interested in them, especially once I get them done. I bought first time a solar charge controller. Nothing fancy. It's just the cheapest one I could find. It's a 10 amp, 12, 24 volt. So that means it will put out 5 volts at 12 volts. And I got this for a particular reason, though. I want to start experimenting with these charges because I think I have 3 different 12 volt power banks, power stations, whatever you want to call them. 2 of them are going to be a 16 amp hour battery that will run them, and the one is 100 amp hour. Eventually I'm going to get another one of 200 amp, but that's another story. But for now, my 2 smaller ones, my 16 amp hour ones, I'm thinking sometimes it may not be quite enough, or maybe I may put them to use somewhere and I don't want to take it offline, leave it right there, so I have to recharge it. Well, my idea is that that's what I'm going to do with these. Is I'm actually going to take one of these and install it, and then instead of plugging the solar on here, I think I'll do a Ryobi battery receptacle and then take the battery and push it in there and push it through the charge controller into the battery. So it'll take that 20 volts, because the battery on a Ryobi will run 20 volts down to 15, then it shuts off. So I can start at 20 volts, and this is well within the range of this little fella right here. And I should be able to push 5 amps through that Ryobi battery and into the battery to help replenish it. So if I plug a 9 amp hour battery in there, in about an hour and 45 minutes, it should be able to drain that Ryobi battery and push all of that 9 amp hours from that battery into my 16 amp hour battery. So as it gets lower, that'll help replenish it. In fact, if I wanted to, theoretically, I could hook up 2 batteries in parallel to go through this, put 2 batteries into the battery pack, and I would have 16 amp hours from the main battery, and I would have another 18 amp hours from the 2 Ryobi batteries if I'm using my 9 amp hour Ryobi battery. So that would give me, 34 amp hours. That ain't bad. I think that would be pretty adequate amount. So I could even just turn it into a larger battery, and as it starts to run down, in theory the 2 Ryobi batteries will run down first, and I could take them out, recharge them on a solar charger, and put them back in and replenish that battery over that period of time. So I could actually move them in and out and keep that 16 amp hour battery with power at all times, as long as I'm not using more than what I can put into it at any given moment, obviously. But I'm also, that kind of got me thinking, why can't I take and make myself a little portable Ryobi charger, not to charge Ryobi batteries, but to take Ryobi batteries and plug them into the unit, take it over to a regular 12 volt battery, hook it up, and charge it into that using nothing more than an inexpensive charge controller. I think I could even do it with just a PWM, because it's not going to matter how efficient or inefficient it is technically, because this will just drain the battery down until it runs the battery down. It may take a little longer this way than with an MPPT type. I don't know enough about these yet to know, but I bought my first one. I'm going to start playing with this thing, just like it did with butt connectors and that sort of thing. And I learned a lot about them by doing it. I think we're going to play with these a little bit, because I think we can actually have these a very functional unit to put on some of my battery packs to allow me excuse me, to allow me to charge it up either from some kind of solar panel or even from a Ryobi battery. So stay tuned. I bought my first one. We're going to play with this for a while. This is going to take several months probably to really come to some major conclusions. But I think it might be very interesting, and I'll be talking about this from time to time. So if you are regular, stay tuned if you're interested in what else you can do with those Ryobi batteries, because I think I may be on a new idea here. Also, I bought this. And this is I'm really kind of excited about getting this. I had my van out there. I have 2 vehicles, but you know who and I share the one most of the time. She drives it more than I do, goes places. But when we both go somewhere together, we almost always take the car. The wagon is, I usually use it for it if I have to haul something. So, but I am also wanting to convert that. But my problem with the van has been that, especially in the winter, that battery was going dead all the time because I wouldn't drive it for 2 weeks or a month or whatever. And so just having to sit there, that battery, you know how those car batteries can do if you just don't activate them. So I plugged a little trickle charger and plugged it into the wall outlet, and I keep that on there all the time. And when I get in the truck and I go to use it, I just unplug that, roll it up out of the way, and then I go, when I get back, I plug it back in. Plugging it in and out is kind of a pain, quite frankly, but I can do it. It's not that big a deal. It's better than having a dead battery. But it showed me that the battery doesn't go dead anymore, which is really what I was trying to achieve. So then I ran across the idea that they actually sell small solar panels. This is just a 5-watt, and you can get it up to any size, really. But this is designed with suction cups to attach to the inside of your windshield. And then you run this cord down and hook it up to your battery, and this will trickle charge your battery all day long during the day. So that's just enough activity. Every time the sun comes out, it'll make sure that battery is topped off. I think this means I won't have to plug and unplug it from the wall every time I want to take it and go somewhere. I can just jump in it and go. So I'm going to start with this and see how it does. I've got some other experiments I want to do with this. The main thing I like about this is that if it does work for me, I want to put a battery in my shed for my generator so that I can just battery start it rather than trying to do the pull start. That's a real bear on that thing. And if this works the way I think it will, I can take one of these and put a battery in there and hook it up to this so that will help keep it always charged. And if I go out there and start that every couple of months or every once a month, the battery will be charged up for me, whether it's summer or winter. So I think this will be a very useful idea to incorporate into my generator. For when I need it, it'll be easy to start. I'll have a battery to start it, and it'll always be at full power. And I won't have to take a battery and carry it out there to hook it up, which is what I have to do now. So anyway, let's hope that this thing works out the way I think it will. And all the ideas, I have those 2 functions I want to do with it for now. But I found out about this, and I checked it out on the internet, and there are several people out there that says this thing actually works quite well. The only thing I wasn't sure about is how big of a wattage do you have to pump into that thing on the daily basis to keep it charged up. These aren't designed to charge it up if you have a dead battery. It would take forever. But it keeps that trickle charge on there so that it always keeps it topped off without any problem. So I think this thing is actually going to work quite well for this. Whoever thought of this idea of a small solar hooked up directly to a lead acid battery, and you're good to go to always keep it topped off whenever you want to get in and go somewhere. So anyway, that was the second thing I got in. This thing is very cool. My favorite thing that I got, I really am excited about, is this guy right here. Yes, Ryobi batteries fits in there. So if you take your Ryobi style battery and you put this on there and lock it down, now you can turn it on and you have this really bright little light. Now this is the 9 amp hour one, and quite frankly this thing is probably a little large. This is the 1.5 amp hour, and this one makes for a nice little light if you need to, or you can just set it down. I may make a holder for it that I can set on this thing, so I can set it like this if I want or something. I don't know. But I got this because I was really intrigued. What's amazing, this is not a Ryobi tool. Ryobi did not make this. This is the first time I have seen any of these tool batteries where somebody has gone and made a that works on one of the major battery tool companies like Ryobi or Makita or any of them that use battery power on some of their tools. I've never seen anybody make a tool so you can use that battery, but yet the tool is made by somebody besides Ryobi in this case. So this thing is completely non-Ryobi made. And quite honestly, it wasn't a bad price. I thought it was slightly high, but maybe I'm just getting old. I bought this off of Aliexpress. I bought the other two items off of Amazon, and I'll leave you a link for those two so that you at least can see what I got and where I got them off of Amazon. But I got this from Aliexpress. It took about 2 weeks, and shipping and everything, it cost me right at $22. For a light on a Ryobi battery light, it's not a bad price really when you think about it. It's one of the lower price ones. And this thing still puts out about, near as I can tell, it puts out about 1,200 lumens, which isn't bad. It makes it for a good size flashlight or an area light. And it draws about, what does it draw? Something like 11 or 12 watts. So on a Ryobi battery, that would be half an amp. So it's pretty. That means that it would last quite a long time. If I put this on my 9 amp hour battery, that means I could run this thing for probably 8 to 9 hours nonstop. And this is not a bad one. We'll go over this thing in detail because I also have something else I want to say about this. But this thing is a metal casing with a lens on it. The only thing I'm afraid of is I'm afraid this thing might get really hot. I don't know yet. What I haven't done, it seems to get quite warm after about 10 minutes. But what I want to do is probably take my 9 amp hour battery and plug it into this and run it until the battery runs out. Maybe I'll start with one of the smaller ones first and see if it has an overheating problem from doing that and if it causes a problem. The only thing is that you can't take this apart. Excuse me. You cannot take this apart because this lens is actually glued in place onto this metal frame. And the 2 screws to get in there and take that off, you have to take this cover off first. So I could take it off, but I'm afraid I may actually damage it, so I don't think I really want to do that. And I'm pretty sure this is running straight off of 20 volts straight into the LED. And that as it gets down to 15 volts, it gets a little dimmer. But I'm sure because it's so gradual, you don't notice it. But I don't think there's anything in this thing between the battery and the light LEDs. Is only that switch, I suspect. So there isn't much room in there. This lower piece, which is the receptacle part of a Ryobi battery, has a split right here. And there's this little cap with 3 screws holding it on and the switch. So I suspect that all that stuff is built into there. And it does come with the little clip that I usually have been buying separately. When I've been making my own receptacles, if you remember, out of PVC and thin plywood and hot glue, and then I used that little clip and made my own. This has their own clip in it already. So, and I have found on Aliexpress, you could actually buy just this adapter. And they run you about, if you buy just one, it's like $12. That's because there's like $5, $5.50 of freight on it. But if you buy 10 of them, then you can get the price down to right under $6 a piece, or right at $6 a piece, because the shipping doesn't go up very much at all as you buy more and more of them. So, and the thing is, let's say $6 a piece. I buy that little adapter down there separately now. And if I had to buy that and take that off the cost, that's what, like $2 or $3? I can't remember. But that means that I can actually have one of these for around $3 to $4 a piece. And the reason I like this better than my own shop-made one is this has the built-in clip on it. So that when you put it on there, it has the ability to clip down on the battery like they really should. I've never been able to develop a good clicking mechanism to lock into that unit like that. The only way I've been able to lock mine in is with a set screw back here, and you tighten it down. And even though that works, it's not the Ryobi way. But this has that clip that will not come off once it's clipped on. So I can buy these. They'll run me about $3 a piece, technically. And it already has the clips built into it, which mine don't. So I think I'm not going to make any more myself, I'm not going to make any more of them myself. I think I'm going to just buy 10 at a time from Aliexpress and use these for any of my Ryobi projects that I want to use. For the $3 difference, it almost isn't worth me making them. So anyway, I'm really excited about these. And if you want to, go out to Aliexpress and put in a search for the Ryobi light. You could put it in there for Ryobi adapter. And you'll see there's a lot of different styles. I like this one here in particular with this size base. They come in 3 or 4 different styles, but they all have the little built-in clip. But none of them had this wide base like this one. And that's what I like about this. Because I can drill a hole in the board that I want to put the battery to be able to plug it in. And put this part, the neck of this, through the hole. And then screw it down onto the plywood. And this will be on the outside of the box. This would be on the inside of the box for all the wiring. And all I have to do is screw this down with 3 screws. And it's held in place instantly. So it'll be easy to mount this thing on a project so that I then can just plug batteries into it and unplug them without any problem. So, also, I learned something else about this. I've got to take a look at those LED lights I have again. And no. Yes, it's the monster. Here you go. There you go. Go get it. Hopefully that'll distract her. She made me forget what I was saying. But anyway, there's a lot of potential on how to make these things. I want to make my own lights, and I'm going to make them using my LED lights from these things, because I think it's a shame because the LEDs are going to work for a long time. There's nothing wrong with these LEDs. But I think I may take them out of this diffuser packet and use them in a little different way so that I can help control the heat on those. And I'll run them off of DC voltage without any problem. So I should be able to actually have lots of toys and lights I can make using my... No, down. Go on. Down. She's learning. She's actually listening to me now. Go lay down. Go on. The fact that I'm talking probably attracts her to thinks I want to play or something. So she'll probably be pestering me now. Hopefully not. But anyway, there's a lot of little stuff out there that is non-Ryobi now. And I'm sure Ryobi doesn't like this, but this is actually pretty good news if you think about it. Because now there is a tool battery out there that you can use that's easy to plug in. You can draw big power off this thing. You can pull most of these tool batteries. I know you can pull a 1C on these things, and probably even a 2C. I've actually pulled a 2C on the 5 amp hour one all the way through it, and it pulled it right down without any problem. Didn't damage anything that I could tell. So these are very strong batteries, and you can charge these up pretty fast if you really want to, just not with the Ryobi charger. Another story. So I'm learning more and more about how to use these batteries and utilize them, but these would be great to be able to make yourself plug and play type of stuff where you just grab a Ryobi battery and plug it in instead of having to recharge it from another type of battery. You think, oh, the battery's dead, I gotta wait till I charge it up before I can go take it. But this, you just grab a charged battery and plug it in and go. So I think these are going to have a lot of uses. They have a fan out. They got a couple of different fans. They have one that's a fan with a light in the center, a little less than this light. But, you know, they're coming up with all sorts of ideas on Aliexpress about these Ryobi battery units. And they're not Ryobi, so I hope Ryobi doesn't get upset about it, but I can tell you, it's a good sign for the consumer because that means that it'll be easier for me to buy some things that even Ryobi doesn't want to make or does make. Because I suspect that probably a lot of these tool batteries are now getting marketed that way. They're making tools for that and lights for that and stuff like that because so many of them, especially some of the other brands, the major brands like Milwaukee, or Makita, DeWalt, they charge quite a bit more for their stuff than even Ryobi does. Ryobi has always been on the lower end on the pricing. And if they're making this stuff in those other battery types too, they're going to probably notice it. But I don't know whether patent is and how that falls in there. And that's if they're not doing it yet, that's probably why. They probably can do it to this one now. This one's been out a long time, this particular style. And Ryobi had made the commitment to stay true with this battery style for all their tools. I think they would have a hard time trying to change it now with all the tools they got out there that work off this battery system. So now the aftermarket is also going into it, and it should drive down the prices of a lot of that stuff. Not only battery prices, because now you have a standard battery you can buy to use in a particular line of tools, and a lot of accessories, BS sides. So you can get on-the-go power that you can plug it in and go. And all you have to do is make sure you keep these charged up until you're ready to use it. So I think it's going to be a great handy system to have these. I'm excited to see the aftermarket start to take off with these. I know it's not good for Ryobi, but it's the way it is out there in the real world anyway, as far as capitalism. So I'm looking forward to what we'll end up with on some of the stuff out of this. I'm waiting for the first non-Ryobi drill, and I haven't seen that yet, so I don't know, and maybe we won't, but I just figured that's got to be coming sooner or later. Would I buy a non-Ryobi tool? I don't know if I would buy a generic Ryobi tool or not. I'll have to think about that, but give me your thoughts on that. I would be curious to know what you think about all of this. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that to you, especially this. I'm really very excited about the potentials of what you can do with this new adapter and all the new tools they're coming out with now that fit that same battery system. So I think it'll really start driving the price down on a lot of things. But this is very cool. Like I said, I'll leave a link to this. You can do a search on Aliexpress yourself and just do Ryobi adapters or something, and look at what all different things pop up, and you'll see. I think these are under Power Wheel adapter, is what the Ryobi Power Wheel adapter is what they call this adapter right here. And then, like I say, if you do that particular phrase, then you'll see a bunch of different designs that all are just this adapter with the two terminals to be able to plug into, get access. Some will have switches on them built in, and some won't. So you can get just about whatever you want for a receptacle now from Aliexpress at a pretty reasonable price, if you shop carefully, because some of that stuff is a little high priced in my opinion, and you can noticeably even more than what it would cost you from like Amazon. So right now this same light is on Amazon, but it would cost me more, about 50% more than what I paid for it from Aliexpress, I believe. At least that's so far what I found on Amazon. So yeah, this is available, but it's not available at the same price as you can get it off of Aliexpress. So I guess you got to price shop for things again. I thought for a while that wouldn't have to be a problem with Aliexpress, but there's a lot of things out there that you can't buy from Aliexpress. That you can buy from there that are really overpriced. And I'm surprised. I could buy it cheaper right off of Amazon and get it the next day. Whereas in Aliexpress, it's always going to be a 2-week or more waiting period from when you get it, when you receive whatever it is you order. I've ordered stuff from them about 7 or 8 times. Nothing very major. It's always been less than $25, let's say, on every order. So I'm not a big customer of theirs, but I really was watching to see how long it takes, and can you depend on getting things from them. So we'll have to see. But in any case, if you have any questions about any of this, or you want to talk about any of it, let me know. I did get a comment from a fellow named Phil from across the pond, and he was talking about LED lights, and he mentioned about my ideas about emergency power when the power goes off. And I do want to talk about that. So Phil, I do remember that comment, and I think maybe I would like to address that in a video, because I want to talk about LED lights too, and what to watch out for when you're buying some of these things that I've learned, and see what you have experienced, so that maybe I can also be a little smarter on when I can spot a good one or a bad light that's out on the market, because I think there's a lot of that out there. I think most of these LED lights, The problem is not the LEDs. The problem is the mechanical or the electrical components inside, especially the PCB. They almost always have some kind of PCB on them, and that seems to be where the weak link is on these lights. I now have one of the ones that you can buy. This is probably one of the less expensive ones. It looks just like an incandescent bulb. Has the dome bulb top. That's an LED, and they're pretty inexpensive, and they fit right into the E26 socket for light bulbs, which is the most common one here in the United States, on 110. And that particular bulb, I have put one in here. I've been putting some of those in some of the other corners of my shop rather than using these garage ones, because they are quite a bit cheaper. But I've already got one that's actually flickering, and we already know what that means. That means that bulb is overheating and going to break down sooner or later, I have a feeling. So I think that's going to be a common problem with certain things with these LED bulbs, and we need to get a handle on what is a good place to buy them at a good price. That's going to be the key. So anyway, your input on any of this is appreciated. We're going to have to talk about this stuff for quite a while. I went way too long on this video. But if you have any questions or anything, let me know. I love to read your comments. If you learned something here, you like this video, hit that like button. Lets me know I'm doing something right. Most importantly, though, please come back again, because I'm nowhere near done. Thanks. And we'll see you guys again very soon.